Arsenal and Madrid. Let that sink in for a moment. The Gunners have made it to the Champions League semi-finals, and they are walking into the Metropolitano Stadium on Wednesday, April 29th, 2026, to face one of the most tactically disciplined sides in European football, Atletico Madrid. Diego Simeone's fortress, a ground where emotion runs high, the crowd is fierce, and the pressure is relentless. This is not a friendly visit. This is not a routine away day. This is the moment that defines seasons. This is the kind of night that separates clubs with ambition from clubs with genuine elite pedigree. And Arsenal under Mikel Arteta are here. They have earned the right to stand on that pitch. But arriving in Madrid with hope is one thing. Arriving in Madrid with the right players fit, available, and ready to perform at the highest level is something entirely different. And that is where the story gets complicated. That is where the tension begins. Because heading into this first leg, Arsenal are not at full strength. Key players are missing. Other players are racing against time to be ready. And the decisions Mikel Arteta must make tonight could define not just this match, but the entire tie. The situation is delicate. It is layered. And the consequences of getting it wrong in a Champions League semi-final are severe. One bad result in Madrid, and Arsenal face a mountain to climb in the second leg at the Emirates. One injury to the wrong player tonight, and the entire campaign could unravel. This is the reality Arsenal are facing as they step onto that plane and head to Spain. Let us be clear about what is at stake here. This is a Champions League semi-final. Two legs stand between Arsenal and a place in the final. And the first leg is always critical because it sets the tone for everything that follows. Arsenal already have a significant psychological advantage. The evidence suggests this fixture holds a very different energy compared to most European ties. Arsenal beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 in the league phase of this competition back in October. 4-0. That scoreline tells a story. It tells you that Arsenal, when they are functioning at their best, are capable of dismantling even the most well-organized defenses in European football. But here is the reality that every serious analyst must acknowledge. The Atletico Madrid that shows up in a knockout semi-final at their own stadium in front of their own fans is a completely different animal from the Atletico Madrid that played in the league phase. Simeone's teams are built for exactly these moments. They absorb pressure, they frustrate opponents, they grind results, and they make every mistake feel terminal. So Arsenal walking into Madrid knowing they won 4-0 earlier in the season means very little if they cannot match that level of performance tonight. The stakes are that simple and that severe. If Arsenal lose this first leg badly, the tie is effectively over before it reaches the Emirates. If key players break down with injuries during the match, the damage could extend beyond just this semi-final. And if Arteta's selection decisions backfire, the questions will be loud and they will be justified. This is the weight Arsenal carry into the Metropolitano tonight. Before we go deeper into this analysis, I want to say something to everyone watching right now. If this kind of detailed, honest, structured football analysis is what you're looking for, then hit that subscribe button right now. On this channel, we do not chase headlines or rush to fill time. We break down what is actually happening, what it means, and why it matters. Subscribe to Jessica Arsenal Analyst and stay with us for the full picture every single time. Let us now go step by step through every critical element of this story. The Eberechi Eze situation. The first major talking point heading into this match is the fitness of Eberechi Eze. The situation is one that caused genuine concern at Arsenal in the days leading up to this fixture. Eze was forced off during Arsenal's match against Newcastle over the weekend. When a player leaves the pitch early in the match before a Champions League semi-final, every supporter and analyst immediately asks the same question. Is he going to be available? The evidence suggests the initial fears were not as serious as they could have been. Eze took part in Arsenal's open training session on Tuesday, which is a strong indicator that his body responded well to treatment and recovery. And crucially, Arteta himself confirmed that Eze is fit and available for the match. However, it is important to add a layer of nuance here. Arteta confirmed availability, but he did not guarantee a starting position. The reality for the club is that fitness and match readiness are two different things. A player can be cleared to play without necessarily being at 100% sharpness. And Arteta, who is known for being precise and measured in his squad management, may still choose to handle Eze carefully. There is a genuine possibility that even with Eze available, Arteta opts for Gabriel Martinelli on the left wing instead. Martinelli has been exceptional in this Champions League campaign. The evidence is very clear on this point. He has scored 6 goals in the competition this season. 6 goals in a single Champions League campaign is a remarkable return for a wide player. That kind of output demands selection consideration. Martinelli offers something very specific to this tie. He offers pace on the counter-attack. Against a disciplined Atletico Madrid defence that will likely sit deep and look to absorb pressure, pace in behind becomes one of Arsenal's most valuable weapons. Martinelli running at defenders, stretching the defensive line, and converting those moments into goals is a genuine tactical asset in this context. So while Eze is fit and while he is a quality player, the decision on the left wing is not straightforward. Arteta has options. And in a match this important, the wrong choice in terms of tactical fit could prove costly. The Kai Havertz absence. This is a significant blow for Arsenal. Kai Havertz is out of this first leg with the muscular injury he suffered against Newcastle. The situation is one that removes a key option from Arteta's attacking plans. However, it is important to put this in the correct context. The indication is that the injury is not believed to be a serious one. That is some reassurance for Arsenal supporters thinking ahead to the second leg and the remainder of the season. But for tonight, Havertz is simply not available. His absence creates a selection decision at centre forward, and the evidence suggests that decision points firmly in one direction. Victor Gyokeres is the most likely candidate to lead the line for Arsenal in this match. With Havertz unavailable, Gyokeres is expected to get the starting nod ahead of Gabriel Jesus. This is a fascinating selection call when you think about it carefully. Gyokeres leading the line in a Champions League semi-final at the Metropolitano is a statement of intent from this Arsenal squad. It signals ambition and confidence in the players available, even when first-choice options are missing. The Bukayo Saka question. Perhaps the most compelling individual storyline heading into this match involves Bukayo Saka. The situation is one that every Arsenal supporter has been closely monitoring for several weeks. Saka has been absent for more than a month after suffering an Achilles injury. That is a significant period of absence for one of Arsenal's most important players. The encouraging news is that Saka has returned. He came off the bench in the previous match and, by all accounts, looked sharp during that cameo appearance. The physical indicators were positive. He moved well. He looked confident. And those are critical signs when a player is returning from an Achilles issue, which can sometimes leave players looking hesitant or uncomfortable even after being cleared to play. The evidence suggests that Arteta is seriously considering restoring Saka to the starting lineup for this match. The reasoning is understandable. A Champions League semi-final is exactly the kind of occasion where you want your best players on the pitch from the first minute. If Saka is fit enough to contribute meaningfully, the argument for starting him is strong. But there is a counter-argument that also deserves serious consideration. Saka has only just returned from injury. His minutes have been limited. Throwing a player who has been out for more than a month straight into one of the most intense European atmospheres in the game carries its own risks. The Metropolitano crowd, the physical demands of the match, the adrenaline of a semi-final, all of these factors can push a player's body beyond what it has recently been conditioned to handle. Arteta must weigh the benefit of Saka's quality against the risk of an early setback. It is one of the most difficult individual selection decisions he faces tonight. Moving into the defensive setup, the situation is one that involves both absences and tactical choices. Jurriën Timber is once again unavailable. Arteta addressed this directly in his press conference, admitting that he does not know when the Dutchman will return. The manager described Timber as doing some work on the pitch, but made it clear that significantly more progress is needed before he can rejoin competitive action. Timber's ongoing absence has forced Arsenal to find solutions elsewhere, and the evidence suggests those solutions have been found. Piero Hincapié and Christian Mosquera are expected to form the fullback pairing for this match. This is a more defensively minded selection compared to what Arsenal might otherwise field. It is worth noting that Riccardo Calafiori is available again. His return is positive news for the squad's depth. However, the indication is that Arteta may still prefer the defensive solidity that Hincapié and Mosquera provide for a match of this nature. Against Atletico Madrid in their own stadium, defensive security is not a minor concern. It is central to the entire tactical approach. William Saliba and Gabriel continue to form what is arguably one of the most reliable central defensive partnerships in European football right now. Their presence gives Arsenal a genuine foundation to build from, even when other areas of the squad are disrupted by injury. In midfield, the setup appears settled. Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice are expected to provide the foundation. Zubimendi's calmness and composure in possession, combined with Rice's physicality and ability to win duels, creates a midfield partnership that can function effectively both when Arsenal have the ball and when they need to defend. Martin Odegaard sits ahead of them, the captain, the creative engine. The player who connects the midfield to the attack and whose quality in tight spaces will be tested against Atletico's compact defensive structure. Odegaard thrives in exactly these high-stakes matches. The evidence of his performances across this Champions League campaign supports that view. Pulling it all together, the predicted Arsenal starting 11 for this match is as follows. David Raya in goal. Christian Mosquera at right back. William Saliba and Gabriel as the central defensive partnership. Piero Hincapié at left back. Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice in the central midfield. Bukayo Saka on the right wing. Martin Odegaard in the number 10 role. Gabriel Martinelli on the left wing. And Victor Gyokeres leading the line as the central striker. That is a serious team. Even with Havertz and Timber absent, that lineup carries genuine quality from back to front. It is a team capable of hurting Atletico Madrid, and it is a team built to be difficult to beat. The Torreira layer. Now, there is another dimension to this story that adds a fascinating historical context to the Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid matchup. And it involves a player who was once deeply beloved at this club, Lucas Torreira. His name alone brings back memories for long-serving Arsenal supporters. The situation around his time at the club is one of the more complicated and emotionally loaded stories in Arsenal's recent history. Torreira arrived at Arsenal for £27 million from Sampdoria. The deal came after he had a standout performance for Uruguay at the 2018 World Cup. He came in with momentum. He came in with a reputation. And in his first season at the club, he delivered. The fans took to him immediately. His energy, his intensity, his ability to break up play and drive Arsenal forward from the middle of the pitch, it all connected with what supporters wanted to see. He became a genuine fan's favourite, the sort of player the crowd gets behind instinctively because they can see the commitment and the quality in every action. But football moves quickly. Injuries disrupted his trajectory. And then came the managerial change. Unai Emery was sacked and Mikel Arteta arrived. For Torreira, that transition changed everything. He found himself out of Arteta's plans. His game time dried up significantly in that second season under the new manager. The situation is one that Arsenal handled with a loan arrangement to Atletico Madrid. And here is where it becomes genuinely interesting given the current context. Arsenal are now preparing to face Atletico Madrid in a Champions League semi-final. And Torreira's history with both clubs connects these two institutions in a way that most people will have forgotten. When Torreira was at Atletico on loan, the situation was difficult. He struggled to establish himself under Diego Simeone. Reports at the time indicated he was unhappy in Spain. Arsenal, for their part, were open to cutting all ties with the player in order to give him the freedom to secure a permanent move elsewhere. But here is a detail that deserves particular attention. Several Arsenal coaches at the time were still on good terms with Torreira personally. They liked him, they cared about his well-being, and they opposed the decision to sell him. There was genuine internal disagreement at Arsenal about how to handle his situation. Arteta made his decision. Torreira was not part of his plans. And despite the opposition from within the coaching staff, the manager's position held. The then sporting director, Edu, addressed the situation publicly at the time. His message was clear. Arsenal's primary concern was Torreira's happiness. The club wanted to know how he was feeling, whether he was getting game time, and what Atletico's intentions were. The language was professional and measured. But the underlying reality was equally clear. The player was going to leave. Torreira eventually moved to Fiorentina on another loan before completing a permanent departure from Arsenal when he signed for Galatasaray in 2022. He was motivated by a very specific goal. He wanted consistent game time ahead of the 2022 World Cup. He explained that continuity was essential for a player in his position. And Turkey with Galatasaray gave him that. Now aged 30, Torreira remains with Galatasaray. He is looking ahead to his third World Cup with Uruguay, who are in a group alongside Saudi Arabia, Cape Verde, and Spain. The reason this story matters in the context of tonight's match is because it illustrates something important about how football and fate interact. The same Atletico Madrid that briefly hosted Torreira on loan is now standing between Arsenal and a Champions League final. The history between these two clubs runs deeper than many supporters currently realize. Let us now draw the threads of this analysis together into a clear picture. Arsenal are going into this Champions League semi-final first leg in Madrid with a squad that is not fully fit. Key players are missing. Others are returning from injury. The selection decisions Arteta must make are genuinely complicated. The situation regarding Eze is one of managed risk. He is available, but whether he starts or is protected for the second leg remains an open question. The situation regarding Saka is one of exciting possibility combined with understandable caution. His return from an Achilles injury is hugely positive. Whether he is ready to start a Champions League semi-final in one of Europe's most hostile atmospheres is the critical question. The situation regarding Havertz is straightforward. He is out. Gyokeres steps in. And the expectation is that Gyokeres will lead the line with purpose and energy against a defence that knows how to make life difficult for opposing centre-forwards. The situation in defence is one built on disciplined pragmatism. Timber is still absent. Calafiori is back but may not start. Hincapi and Mosquera are expected to provide defensive solidity at full-back, with Saliba and Gabriel forming the central foundation that gives Arsenal their defensive identity. In midfield, Rice and Zubimendi provide the base. Odegaard provides the quality. And in attack, the balance between pace and creativity between Saka and Eze and Martinelli will shape how dangerous Arsenal look going forward. And threading through all of this is the historical context. A former fan's favourite who once struggled at the Metropolitano. Coaches who disagreed with his departure. A manager who held firm. And now the same two clubs meeting on the biggest stage available in European club football. This is the full picture heading into Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. The stakes are enormous. The squad is tested but capable. And Arteta'S decisions tonight will define whether Arsenal take a first-leg advantage back to the Emirates or face a recovery mission in the return fixture. Stay with Jessica, Arsenal analyst, for full reaction and breakdown after the match. If you found this analysis useful, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. This channel is built for supporters who want to understand the game at a deeper level. The next video is already being prepared and you do not want to miss it. This is Jessica, Arsenal analyst. Thank you for watching.